Alright guys, it's time to have some fun.
And we're going to do it today with CUBITOS from AEG and John D. Clare.
Yeah, so we're not going to wait till the end. We're just going to get right into it and say this is a fun game. But of course we'll go into more detail later. But yeah, so you got some racing component going on here. Obviously lots of dice. And so there's also a deck building component, but it's like with dice and not cards. And so each dice has different things you can do. Yeah, so lots of fun stuff. Let's do a brief overview of how to play, and then we'll come back up for our more detailed thoughts. Alright, so let's do an overview of CUBITOS. So for basic setup here, I have this set up for the first race that you can do, so your first game, to kind of get you familiar with things. So you got the racetrack and with the side that says nothing goes right. Then you got your runners out here on the start. Each player gets their own player board and starting dice of light and dark gray, and this phase token with the roll phase and the run phase. And then you're going to have each color of dice in the dice tray and the corresponding first race card for each one of these as well, and some extra tokens. And then you got this fan track up here with each player putting a runner on the bleachers as well. So this game is played in a series of rounds, with each round consisting of a roll phase and a run phase, and everyone's going to be doing these simultaneously. And once everyone's done with the roll phase, then everyone proceeds to the run phase. And after a round's over, the starting die gets passed to the next player. So the first thing everyone's going to do is draw up to their limit. Everyone starts with a limit of 9, which is the amount of dice we start with. So everyone's going to draw up to their limit. And then everybody is going to roll their dice. And then you're going to move any hits that you might have had into the active zone. And then once you get to 3 or more dice in your active zone, then this is where you have to choose whether to push your luck, or just call it quits on the rolling. But we only rolled 1 for this example, so let's go ahead and roll again, because we don't have 3 or more yet. So we rolled again. Okay, so now we got 2 more hits. So at this point, we have to decide whether we want to roll again, and which we might bust, and if we were to bust, then we could potentially not be able to take these actions and they would be discarded. And how you bust is if the next time you roll, let's say we're going to push our luck here and try to get some more hits. If we roll and say we didn't get any hits on that next roll, then we officially busted. So since we busted, then all of these dice would have to be discarded, and then all of these misses would remain in the roll zone. However, when you bust, you have the option of choosing any dice in here and moving them to the discard zone immediately. And then an additional thing that you can do whenever you bust is move your runner up on this fan track, which will give you extra things the further you go along. So whenever you go to these places here, you're going to get these credits and this increase of hand limit token. Now let's say this is the first time we've got 3 dice in our active zone. And so for this time, for pushing or passing, we have the risk of busting. So let's see what happens this time. Let's hope we get some hits here. All right, so we got another hit. All right, so once again, you have to decide whether you want to push or pass. Let's say we don't want to risk it, and so we're going to pass. So all of these misses will stay in the roll zone for next time, and then we move on to this active phase, or the active zone, excuse me, in which case you would flip over this, because we're going into the run phase, and once everybody is done with the roll phase, then we'll proceed to this. So the first thing everyone's going to do in the run phase is use any abilities. So if you have other dice, like say these colors here, and you have these symbols on here, These are the different abilities that you can take that correspond with the abilities on the cards. So you would resolve those, and then after that, you're going to resolve any red dice, so that symbol there, and this is something that you're often comparing with the other players and see who has the most of these red dice here. And then you're going to determine your total amount of money here and movement. So to move, you're going to add up all your little footprints on your dice, and that's how many movements you can do. So let's say we had rolled 3. So then I could move 3 spaces on the board. So you can move forward, side to side, but you can't go through water unless you have a special ability. So let's say I went 1, 2, 3, and then wherever you land, if there's something there, then you can get that ability. So I get this 1 credit here from the supply, and I would place it in my play area. There are also other symbols on the racetrack that you might come across. For instance, if you were to land on this flag here, that means you can move up on the fan track. If you land on this spot here, you can lose a die. There's some that allow you to add some, and there's also like shortcuts on some of the other racetracks. So there's a lot of things that you can do whenever you're moving on the racetrack. Now there are also these red lines throughout the racetrack to where if you are behind somebody, and like for instance right here, we're behind one red line here. So then what that's going to do is temporarily increase your draw limit up by 1 just for that next round. And then if you were up here, so now 2 red lines behind, then you increase your draw limit by 2. However, if you were to catch up and you guys are in the same zone, then it goes back down to your normal hand limit. So after you move, now is when you can buy dice. And you're allowed to buy up to 2 dice, but they have to be a different color. So what you're going to do is you're going to add up all the money you have in your active zone, plus any credits that you might want to use. So we have a total of 3, 4, 5 that we can spend this turn. Alright, so we have a total of 5 to spend. Now there's a bunch of different cards out here, and the spending, or how much it costs I should say, is in this upper right hand corner. So to get a brown die from the supply here, it would cost 2. And there's a bunch of other cards out here. We have one smelly cat that's worth 5, and then you've got one that's worth 12, 3, 5, and so on. So let's say we've got 5 here. Let's buy one of these. So we're gonna get a rich dog. It costs 2. So we take one of these dice and we put it in our discard zone. And then we have 3 more to spend, and we can get 1 more die, and it has to be a different color. So let's look out here. There's only 1 more that we could get. This is Mr. Soldier, and that is worth 3. So we'll get a red die and put it in our discard zone. And the last thing in the run phase is discarding all of your active dice right there. And then once everyone's done that, then a new round begins. So when starting a new round, if you ever not have any dice here, then you're going to replenish it. So you're going to pick all the dice that are in the discard zone and move it to the draw zone. And then what you're going to do is draw up to your hand or your draw limit. So right now we're still at 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we could draw 4 more dice. Let's say 6, 7, 8, 9. And then this is what we would roll with. Now, there are ways to get these guys, which increase your draw limit. So if I had one of these, then I could draw up to 10. So I could draw 1 more. So there's a lot of different cards, and each card has different text here. But let's just take a look at a couple. So let's look at Smelly Cat, for instance. So all these white dice, this card shows you what's on the dice, as well as these boxes here. So there's 3 blank sides, there's 2 movement sides, and 1 ability side, which is a cute little cat. So whenever you're rolling and you roll, let's say, the cat, and it goes into your active zone, then this is the ability. This is where you can use this ability here. And so for the Smelly Cat, you would gain 2 movement. And then let's look at Rich Dog here. So this one has 4 blank sides, 1 dog ability, and then 1 side is 3 money. So if you were to roll and land on the ability whenever you're rolling, then what you could do is you would gain 3 money for that round, and then you would have to lose this dice, and it says not optional, so you would actually return this back to the supply. So you'll just keep playing in rounds until someone has reached the finish line on their turn. Now, if it happened that both people reached the finish line on their turn, whoever went the furthest on that turn would win. So in this case, say they both reached the finish line, but this guy went further, this guy would win.
Alright guys, so that is CUBITOS, and we really enjoyed this game quite a bit. We played it multiple times over and over and over again, and we kept wanting to play it. We did it multiple nights in a row too, and it's just like, we want to keep playing, we want to keep playing. And I really liked how they took the deck building component of certain games and turned it into kind of a dice building component. I thought that was really cool. Really enjoyed that. I haven't played a game like that before. I thought that was really kind of cool.
Yeah, and they have different ways. You can land on certain spots where you can discard some dice from the game so that you have more of the dice that are better, so not your starting dice, so that they come up more when you roll. Mm-hmm. And there's also ways to gain dice for free if you land on certain spots. But yeah, it's fun. And I mean, I really enjoy dice games, and this is a good one, and you have lots of pretty colored dice. It's just so fun collecting like different dice, and then there's a lot of different races they have that you can like preset races where you can get the cards. So there's definitely a lot of replayability here because there's different combinations of cards you can play. I mean, oh gosh, I don't know how many of each color. There's probably at least 5 or 6 different cards of each
color. So there's definitely a lot of variability and replayability with this game.
Yeah, and of course they have some goofy graphics on here. Some of them like, but you know, I gotta love the smelly cat.
Cheese.
Yeah, not my favorite thing.
German SpongeBob.
But they got the smelly cat. That's fun. So yeah, this is just fun. And then of course you're racing around the track, and each side, so there's a track on each side of the board, and it comes with 2 boards that are double-sided with different tracks. So that's even more variability and replayability. You can do different combinations of cards with different tracks. Yeah. So this is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just now coming out in stores. So you guys definitely need to check this one out for sure.
Yeah, definitely go look for it. It was a lot of fun. Like we said, we kind of played it over and over and over again. So it's definitely one that you can get through fairly quickly too. And and then you could definitely play it again.
Yeah, which brings me to something I forgot to mention is that it's simultaneous play. So he's rolling, I'm rolling at the same time, and once we're all done with the roll phase, then we flip the this thing over, and it goes into the run phase. So we're kind of doing it at the same time. So there's not a lot of downtime.
Yeah, not really any downtime.
So I mean that's always fun too. So yeah, this is a great game, lots of fun. So highly recommend it.
CUBITOS.
And of course, if you want to help us out, you can hit that subscribe button and like this video. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching.